And please give us the name of your parents.
Randall and Ann Parr.
All right. And are you familiar with the location of 232 Satila Drive?
Very familiar. I grew up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I hate to ask you, but what years were you there when you grew up?
Oh, no. Let's see. 69 through 85? 86? Yeah.
All right. So, about 85, 86, you left the family home.
To go to college, right?
All right. Did your parents leave at that time?
No. They've been there, well, they were there for about 50 years.
Okay. When did they eventually sell the house and move out?
Let's see, July, was that 2019 or 20? Oh gosh, I guess I need to think about that.
Oh, was it during the pandemic or before the pandemic?
Good question. It was during, so it was 2020. That's it.
All right, so you still live in Brunswick-Linn County?
I do, St. Simon's.
All right. And I'm going to direct your attention specifically into the fall of 2019 into the first 2 months of 2020.
Okay.
How often would you go over to your parents' house at 232 Satila Drive?
Usually about once a week, usually on Sundays.
Okay. What time on Sundays would you usually go over?
Afternoon, we'd stay until 7 or 8 sometimes.
Now, specifically, when you say we, who are you talking about?
Me and my son, my 16-year-old son.
Mm-hmm. And were your parents at this time living alone, just the two of them, at 232 Satila Drive?
Yes.
All right, so I am going to direct your attention specifically to February 23rd of 2020, that particular Sunday. Were you at 232 Satila Drive that day?
I was not there that day.
All right. And had you been at the house previous to that, like in the week or two beforehand?
Most likely. Like I said, we usually would go there about once a week on Sundays, so most likely.
All right. So prior to February 23rd of 2020, was there a bullet hole in your parents' front window?
No, definitely not.
All right. Now, on that particular day of February 23rd, 2020, were you talking to your dad on the phone?
I was. And I guess the reason I know that I was not out there, well, for obvious reasons, but also my son's birthday was 2 days later. We made plans to see them Tuesday instead of Sunday. So, yes, I was talking to him on the phone, and he was telling me about what he was seeing out the window. And during the conversation, he said, "Oh my God, there's a hole in the window. It's cracked." And so he kind of was shocked and then hung up and said, "I'll call you back." So, yeah.
Did you ever get over there to see the hole in the window eventually?
I think maybe a week later or a few days later, I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly.
So, prior to you coming in to testify, you and I have met, we've talked.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right. And did you get to review some photos of the house?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to show you what's already been admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 105. What is the jury looking at here, State's Exhibit 105?
That's my parents' house, or formerly my parents' house.
All right, so when we're looking at 106, is that the address right there?
232 Satila Drive, right.
What's the jury looking at there?
That's also the front of my parents' house.
And then was this the window?
If-
Window that your father was talking to you about?
Right, that's the one at the far end, the left side of the house as you're looking at it, yeah.
This one or this one?
I believe it was the one on the end there. Yeah, that one, the left one. I think that's the right one.
Now, when we take a look at State's Exhibit 114,
Mm-hmm.
and we see this right here, had that hole been there before?
No.
Now, when you're over on Sunday, where do you and your son and your parents generally congregate?
We usually stay in the back of the house in the family room because there's glass doors back there. It looks over the river, so we spend most of the time back there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ever any time here in this front room?
Sometimes we would go in that room. I play music, I play guitar and sing, and my mom does too. So sometimes we would go in that room and sing and play so Dad could watch the TV and we wouldn't bother him.
Right. So what I want to ask you now is, at some point in time prior to February 23rd of 2020,
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall ever seeing a young man at the construction site that's on the way to your parents' house?
Yes, I do recall that. I'm not exactly sure when it was, if it was maybe December or January. I'm not really sure exactly when it was, but I do remember driving by, and I believe it was a Sunday, as usual, afternoon. It was still light outside, and I looked over and I saw someone in the door frame. There wasn't a door there, and he was just standing in the door frame, and we just kind of looked at each other as I drove by.
And was this young man white, black, Asian, or Hispanic?
He was a black man. He was very tall. You want me to keep going?
Well,
describe him?
Sure, go ahead and give the jury description.
He, from what I remember, he had like, I guess they were like basketball shorts on, and I believe high top sneakers and a t-shirt, and yeah, he looked very tall. I remember thinking that because of the door frame, where the location of it over his head.
Do you remember what kind of hair he had?
Hair, I don't remember exactly. I think it was fairly short, maybe a little, I guess medium length. It's fuzzy, but yeah.
So you were driving your car.
Mm-hmm.
It was still light out.
Right.
Okay. Any idea what time? I mean, you're talking January, December?
Yeah. It was, so it probably was getting darker at that time, so it must have been maybe 4 or 5, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
But still light out.
Still light out. Yeah, not real bright, but it was definitely light out.
Okay. Now, to kind of pin this down, do you remember if it was before Christmas or after Christmas?
That's a good question. I wish I could remember, but I'm just not totally sure. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Most likely after Christmas, but I feel like it was late December, early January. I'm not totally sure.
Okay. And I'm going to show you 126. Would that help with where
Yeah.
you were standing?
Right. It was in that door on the right side there, I believe. Yeah.
I'm going to go and put it up there so we can.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
All right, so let's look at it. States 126. So I'm just going to point. Was it this door?
Right, that door right there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when you drove by, did you make eye contact with him?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any waving or saying hi or
No,
anything?
no.
Okay.
I remember having a dialogue in my head. Should I tell you about that? Like just what I thought. I thought I was driving by and I thought, what is he doing in there? And then I thought, no, Kelly, don't be racist. He's probably working on the house. And then I thought, well, no, he doesn't have a tool belt on. So I wonder what he's doing there, just the whole thing. So we were just looking at each other and I wasn't really sure and I just, kept driving. So, but that was like a split second thought process in my head, like 1 or 2 seconds. So,
Okay.
yeah, but no real, he didn't like hide or anything. He was just looking at me. So,
Okay, so tell me about that. So his reaction, he makes eye contact with you, and what does he do?
yeah, he just looks at me.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt like, I guess I could have waved, but I didn't,
Did he try and duck inside?
No, just looking. Yeah.
Did he run away?
No. Mm-mm.
Just stood there.
Just stood there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you were interviewed, I just want to make sure, on May 7th, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. questions? A moment? I'm going to go ahead and pass you over to the defense attorneys. They may have some questions for you.
Okay.
Ms. Ruth.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Parr.
Hi.
Ms. Parr, my name is Bob Rubin, and I represent Travis McMichael. As I understand it, your parents, do they still live in Satila Shores?
No, they sold their house in July 2020
And moved to Florida?
to Jacksonville. Mhm.
Okay. But you grew up there at least for a good number of years, and
I
then
did.
went off to college and
Mhm.
eventually came back to Glenn County and lived
Right.
on the island.
Right, exactly.
But you would go check on your parents, celebrate anniversaries, birthdays,
Right.
holidays,
Mhm.
and then just make sure that their general welfare was good.
Right, exactly.
Very close with your parents.
Hmm.
How long did they live in Satila Shores before they moved to Florida?
I believe it was about 50 years. It's a long time.
So they're getting up there in age by 2020 in their 80s.
Right, exactly. Mhm.
And there came a point where they and you were concerned about crime in the neighborhood.
They had told me a few things had happened, yeah, recently or before that, previous to that time, yeah.
Previous to February 23rd,
Right,
2020.
right.
And as their daughter, I assume that concerned you as well.
It did, yeah. Hmm.
Did you ask them to install any surveillance cameras or alarm system or anything like that?
They did actually have an alarm system. They didn't have cameras, but they did have an alarm system that they had been in disrepair for a long time. And then I think maybe 6 months before this happened, they did start it up again. So yeah.
Okay, and that made you feel better as their daughter?
Sure, absolutely. Mhm.
So when you would go visit them over the preceding, let's say from February 23rd, 2020 back,
Mhm.
12 months, you would go during the evening and then you would go in the daytime, depending on why you were going.
Most of the time it would be in the afternoon, and then we would stay into the early evening.
Okay.
Actually.
And you'd be there, and sometimes you'd be inside celebrating with them
Mhm.
or hanging out with them. Sometimes you'd be outside enjoying the weather,
Right,
going for a walk
exactly.
with them, I assume.
Hmm.
You have children,
I do. I have one son.
so sharing your son with
Right.
with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Odd
Yeah.
way to phrase
Yeah.
it. During the times that you were there in Satila Shores at their house, walking around the neighborhood, would it be fair to say that you never saw Ahmaud Arbery jogging in the neighborhood?
I don't believe so. No, I don't think so.
And when you were interviewed by, I believe it was agents Hamilton and Carnes back in May, if you had seen Mr. Arbery prior to February 23rd, you would have told them.
Well, I did see him. I think it was him in the house, but I didn't. Yeah, right. I would have said.
You would have said, I saw him jogging.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So the one time that you did see him
Mhm.
happened to be this one time in late December and January
Hmm.
in the afternoon,
Right.
right? And you saw a man standing in the door frame without the door
Hmm.
at 220 Satila Drive.
Right.
No tool belt,
No.
no reason you could discern from looking at him why he would be in an empty house
Right.
that was under construction.
Right. I guess so. Yeah.
Okay. In fact, you checked yourself, but it did
Mhm.
cross your mind of
Yeah.
why is this guy in that house
Right. Right.
on was it a
It was-
weekend?
I think it was a Sunday,
Sunday
so that's
afternoon?
why I was kind of questioning it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you checked yourself and
Mm-hmm.
you know wanted to make sure
No
you
big
weren't
deal.
stereotyping or doing
Exactly. Exactly.
It. Got it. Did you talk to your parents about that you saw this man in the house?
I don't think I did. I think I just really drove away thinking, no big deal, you know. I don't think so.
But you were aware of their concerns not only about crime in the neighborhood, but specifically about break-ins at Mr. English's house.
Okay, let me think about that. I'm trying to think if it was specific to that house, what I had heard. I think I just had heard that it was just general things being stolen. I'm trying to think of when I actually found out about the things at that house being stolen. That's a good question. I think it was more just a general, there had been some things stolen in the neighborhood that made me concerned. I don't know that it was specific to that house.
So at the time you drove by in December, January,
Mhm.
you personally were not aware of items being stolen from Mr. English's house?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I know it's a long time
I'm
ago.
trying to answer as truthfully as I can. I'm just trying to remember.
I understand.
Yeah.
Did you at some point, I believe it was in June of 2020, meet with Mr. Lee Wilson? He's got a mask on. Maybe you can take that off for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, it was on the phone. Did
What
you
would
have
that,
a
okay, I was going to say,
telephone-
what would that be in reference to?
In reference to this case, did you have a
Right.
telephone conversation with
Oh,
Mr.
wow.
Wilson? Do you remember?
I can't remember. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
That's okay. I know
Yeah.
you're trying.
Sorry.
When you learned about this case and the shooting incident on February 23rd, did you reach out to the Glenn County Police to tell them that you saw a man you were pretty certain was Ahmaud Arbery at that house?
I don't think I reached out. I do think somebody did call me and ask me about that, though. Now that you're saying, I think I remember talking to somebody about it. But I don't think I reached out to anybody. I think they called me. Because I think they talked to my dad.
Who said, talk to Kelly?
Right, who said, call me, yeah.
Okay, got it.
Mhm.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Parr. That's all I had, Your Honor.
Anything from the other defendants?
No, Your Honor.
Any redirect from the state?
None from the state.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You may step down.